This is Lesson 3-4B from the Algebra Readiness textbook. Please begin working this review problem in your notes packet. Press continue when you're ready to go on. (14 4/10) plus -18 39/100. This is an addition problem where one of the numbers is positive and one of the numbers is negative. We have learned in Chapter 1 that you subtract and give the answer the sign of the bigger absolute value. So we're going to start by subtracting. Notice when I subtract, I stacked my two numbers, I lined up my decimal points, and I added this 0 as a placeholder. I'm now ready to subtract. 9 minus 0 is 9. 3 minus 4 I cannot do. So I borrow. 13 minus 4 is 9. 7 minus 4 is 3. And 1 minus 1 is 0. My answer is -3 99/100. It's negative because 18 39/100 is a greater absolute value than 14 4/10. Today, our learning target is to use rules for adding and subtracting decimals to solve one-step equations. We spent a lot of time solving one-step equations in Chapter 2. Now we're going to do the same process, but we're going to add decimals to the mix. Take our first example. We learned that to solve equations that we draw a line down our equal sign. Then we use inverse operations to isolate our variable. N is adding 4 5/10. The inverse of addition is subtracting 4 5/10. N is equal to, now before I can continue, I have -9 7/10 plus -4 5/10. Both numbers are negative, and I remember from my integer rules from Chapter 1 that if both of the signs are the same, I add the two numbers and I keep the negative sign. And I lined up my decimal points, and I got 14 2/10. And don't forget that that is negative because it was -9.75 and -4.5, so I just went more negative. All right, pause the video yourself and give some of these a try. Come back when you're done and compare your answers. I see that X is adding 4 9/10. So I will subtract 4 9/10 from both sides. I lined up my decimal point. And I got 13 9/10 as an answer. Then, just like we learned last chapter, and I forgot to show you in the first example, but we should check by putting 13 9/10 into the original value for X to check that I got my answer correct. So 13 9/10 plus 4 9/10, and indeed 18 8/10 equals 18 8/10. All right, the next one. This is, to make this one equal to 0, I need to add 24 23/100. Some of you like to subtract -24 23/100 to show, but that's really the same. Subtracting a negative and adding are really the same thing. So either way that you look at it or think about it, that's fine. So when I add these, notice I've lined up the decimal points. 3 plus 3 is 6. 7 plus 2 is 9. 4 plus 4 is 8. 2 plus 1 is 3. 38 96/100. To be sure I got the answer right, I will plug that number up here into my original problem and compare the answers. I see that the two numbers on the right are opposite signs, so I subtract the two numbers and compare. And when I subtract 38.96 minus 24.23, I get 14 73/100. All right, give this one a try. Pause the video again and do the next 3 problems and see how you do. Then come back and compare. The first thing I notice is that K is subtracting 14 4/10. So I am going to add 14 4/10. K equals, now the signs are different, so I need to subtract and give the sign of the bigger number. The bigger number is already on top. If it wasn't, you can surely stack it or switch the order. I just need to know the difference between the two numbers. So put the bigger number on the top and then write your actual answer in the space here. So I need to add a place marker. I feel like we did this one already. I think we did. All right, so let's pause the video and give these two a try. All right, hopefully you saw that n minus 5 85/100. To do the inverse, I would add 585 to both sides. And I get 11 1/10. Then you would, of course, check your answer, but for the to expedite the video, we're going to skip the checking for right now, but you will be asked to check on your homework. The inverse of subtracting 2 6/10 is adding 2 6/10. So we're going to do the same thing over here, and I wrote add 2 6/10. I've got a negative 10 plus 2 6/10. The signs of my two numbers are different. So the rule is to subtract the two numbers and give the sign of the bigger number. Now notice the decimal is following the 10. It's at the end of the 10. So I need to add a 0 as a placeholder. Now I'm ready to subtract. I can't take 0 minus 6. I need to borrow. I need to borrow all the way out here. 10 minus 6 gives me 4. 9 minus 6 is 7. So my answer is 7 4/10, and the bigger absolute value is negative, and so negative 7 4/10. The next one. I notice that I'm adding 17 6/10, so I will subtract 17 6/10 from both sides, making sure that when I add or subtract decimals, I line up that decimal point. Now, do you see here is one of those examples where the 17 is the 17 6/10 is bigger than 12 78/100, so making it difficult to subtract. So I'm going to switch those around and do a side problem over here on the right so that I can find the difference. Then I'm going to write the real answer next. I need to borrow. Need to borrow again. 15 minus 7 is 8. 6 minus 2 is 4. So the difference between the two numbers is 4 82/100. Then I have to decide which number has the bigger absolute value. That's 17, and 17 is negative. So my answer is negative. All right. You spend $14.95 for a new shirt. You now have $12.48. Write and solve an equation to find out how much money you had before you bought the shirt. Well, I know that if I took, the amount of money I had, money before purchase, or my beginning money, is M. So if I take the money I had and I subtract the money I spent, that should give me $12.48. Does that match? Let's double check. You spent $14.95 for a new shirt. You now have $12.48. Write and solve an equation to find out how much money you had before you bought the shirt. So my variable represents the money before I bought the shirt. My money before minus the $14.95 equals $12.48. So we are going to use inverse operations. And I get $27.43. Make sure that you label it because it's a word problem, and also make sure that you check your work. That is the correct answer, so we're going to move on. Here's another example. A store's markup, or store's cost plus markup, is the price that you pay for an item. Maybe you didn't realize that, but the money that you spend on anything at any store is not the exact same amount the store paid for it when the store bought it. You know, the store didn't actually make a lot of the things in their store. Instead, they buy it from a manufacturer. They get a discount from the manufacturer, and then they charge more than it cost them to buy it. The difference is what makes the store money. So suppose a pair of shoes costs a store $35.48 from the manufacturer, but you go to buy the shoes and pay the store $70. Write and solve an equation to find out what the store's markup is. Well, let's use M for markup. So the manufacturer sold the shoes to the store for $35.48. Plus, the store added on some amount of money, and your total was $70. What was the amount the store marked up the shoes? Well, I can use inverse operations to find that amount. By subtracting $35.48 from both sides, I also need to remember that I need to put place values in and line up my decimal points. Then I have to get really good at borrowing. And now I can do the math. 10 minus 8 is 2. 9 minus 4 is 5. 9 minus 5 is 4. 6 minus 3 is 3. The entire amount that the store marks up the shoes is $34.52. That would be the store's profit. All right, try this one. Denzel wrote a check for $76.85. His new account balance is $235.15. What was his previous balance? Let P be the previous balance. Okay, let's read it one more time. Denzel wrote a check for $76.85. His new account balance is $235.15. What was his previous balance? Now, the word balance refers to the amount of money in the account, like total. His previous account total was $235.15. What was his previous total before he wrote the check? Well, his previous balance or total is P minus the amount he wrote the check for. Is means equal sign. His new balance or his new total is $235.15. So you add $76.85. P equals $312 even. $312. That was the amount of money in that account prior to spending writing a $76.85 check. All right, give today's homework a try and make sure that you ask any questions you might have.